All right, good morning, everybody. Sorry to interrupt your conversations. This is our third Coffee with the Cops, I think, third event. So I appreciate everybody coming this morning. We had several more people this morning, but I'm sure they were either working night shifts and had to get home and get some sleep or off to work. So again, I appreciate everybody coming. I do have an agenda today to discuss. As long as, well, I know Mr. Wurz here worked a night shift. I appreciate him being here. He's so if I see him nodding off, we'll just kind of give him a little shoulder here and keep him away. Well, we won't do that. So, just to kind of start off, I think most people here probably know the police officers from Lake Mills Police Department, but we'll just go around and just kind of introduce everybody. I'm Chief Pat Matuszewski, and we'll start right over here.
Officer Brandon Cedarwell. Captain Selk. Sergeant Whitty. Doug Beth. Officer Fish. Wayne Wallace. Very nice.
There you go. Yeah, we have two officers that are back at the police department working on an investigation right now. It'd be Officer Jess Bushke and Officer Troy A. Strike. What's that?
Jessica Johnson.
I'm sorry, Jessica Johnson now. So, thank you. I have a sensor right here, so it's good. Keep me in line. You should be standing like right here, running the teleprompter. And all right. And of course, we have other some part-time officers that are probably working as well. So, programs, new programs and efforts. I just want to touch on a few things here with some of the things that we're doing, I guess, out in the community right now. As everybody, I think, is becoming aware, we are a pretty progressive police department. We're always looking for new ideas to address crime and work with the citizens in the community. And so these are just some, we've been doing quite a bit already, but this is just a list of a few items that we have been brainstorming and that we're going to start up, have started, I guess, already on some of these recently. But one of them is it's called the Police Pointers Program. And what that consists of is each month we are going to have an officer get together with Mr. Dave Grumman, who works for the city, and he does a great job, by the way, of doing video and helping us get information out to the community. And the officers have each been assigned a task of finding an issue in the community that they think is relative, of course, to law enforcement, but also an issue where it would help us to educate the public and something that we could work with the public on, where we can kind of work together. So the first one that I did that's airing right now on public access is on the IRS tax scam that's going on. So when these come out, we put them, Mr. Grumman puts them on public access, then we put them on our Facebook page, we put it on our website, and we now opened a Twitter account, so we put it on Twitter, and we make sure that we have it out there for people to be able to take a look at and view. So that is coming each month. We're going to air a new topic, and in fact, I think Officer A. Strike is next on the list. So his topic should be airing in May, and I believe he's going to talk about texting and driving, just to give everybody an example of some of the issues and stuff that we'll be presenting with that program. And of course, we're always open for ideas, and as things change, dynamics within the community, we may go ahead and add additional police pointers in there just to bring people up to speed with maybe an issue that is occurring for the moment. I already mentioned social media. We're big on social media. We rely, of course, on the local newspapers and stuff like that, public access. Everybody knows, I think, that we've had a Facebook out there now for since I got here. But then we expanded to Twitter, our website, and then also we have YouTube access as well. I guess according to Dave, right?
Yeah, YouTube channel.
Yeah, so we're trying to look at every angle of getting out there the best that we can, not just the officers being out there, walking around, being visible, meeting people, but then also hitting the social media sites and every opportunity that we can to get out there, keep the community aware of what we're working on, what the issues of the day are, how the citizens can help us out. Another program that we have, and this is Captain Selk did a great job on coordinating this and putting it together, is the Alert Sense and iPause. And that we found out that we needed a program that we can communicate quickly to our citizens when a major event occurs. Whether it be, a situation dealing with maybe a power outage that's going to last for a significant amount of time. If we have a bad accident, say up on Highway 94 where there's hazardous material involved and we maybe need to evacuate, or we have a gas line break where we need to evacuate some people. Maybe a tornado coming in. If we have a police standoff and we need people to evacuate the area or at least stay out of a certain area. I mean, it's just a multitude of reasons that we felt that we really need something like this in Lake Mills. And so Captain Selk did some research. We got AlertSense up and running now. And then we also work with the state on iPause, which is actually a federal program. And that in addition, it kind of supplements AlertSense, or I should say the other way around. What iPause is when there's a significant event, we contact our contact person for iPause over in the city of Madison. We make them aware of what the event is. They put it out to the towers in our specific area, and it hits everybody who has a cell phone. It sends that message out. And if everybody remembers the Amber Alert that we had where the little girl was abducted in Milwaukee and ended up over here in what used to be the Pyramid Hotel, that's exactly how that works. It'll go and they'll ping a tower in the area, and everybody's cell phone, whether you reside here, whether you're signed up or not, it goes out and it hits everybody's cell phones for the most part. So, Captain Selk, you care to add anything else on that? Or does anybody have any questions about that program?
No, it's just pretty simple like that. Along with that in iPods, you'll also see the TV scrolls in your home, almost like National Weather Service when there's you see that scroll at the bottom of the screen. If we alert iPods, you'll see some of that similar stuff. It goes out to the radio stations and it'll be broadcast just like that too. So it accesses a lot of different ways, and AlertSense also can be used to contact, put it onto our social media also. So it'll get put out very quickly in a lot of different avenues for people to be aware of safety concerns in their area.
Yes, ma'am. Ms. Frick.
Yeah, I just want to mention for everybody who maybe isn't aware, in your electric bill this month, there is a handout in there about the AlertSense, but a lot of people don't open the envelope because they do automatic payments. So this would be 1 month you do want to open your electric bill and take a look. And second of all, if you don't want to get it, you can call and ask to have it blocked, that your number doesn't get it, right?
The AlertSense, there's two levels of protection here. The AlertSense, I can have your number removed from. The iPause is kind of a blind shot. Anybody in the area of the cell tower is going to get it. So if they're passing through or they're local, if they have a cell phone, they're going to get it the same way the Amber Alert. So you cannot opt out of that option. But the one that the chief was talking about with, if there's a local standoff or a local gas leak or something that we put out in the AlertSense, that's the one that they can have their name removed from. They do not need to contact me for that either. These are things that you can go right online and do yourself. So you go to the AlertSense website and then follow some of the prompts, and you can either add phone numbers to your account or you can remove them. But if you don't have access to a computer or you're not sure if you're doing it right, I'll be glad to help.
And I think the one time that might be really helpful is if you have someone who's like 90 years old in your family that has a phone, but you really don't want them to get this call, you want to get the call yourself, then you'll take care of grandma or something, your great grandma, then that would be one time for sure that you maybe not want to use it. But otherwise, most people would want to get the call. So.
Right. Oh, thanks for sharing that information. And again, thanks, Captain Selk, for all the legwork on that. I think it's a great program. I think it was overdue that we have something like that out here in the community to help us keep everybody safe, or at least do the best that we can in that area. So, something that we're going to start here, and it's the See Something, Do Something campaign. And so we're going to start promoting that a little bit more. We have, and it's not just Lake Mills community, but every community kind of deals with this, where we maybe have a burglary or we have some event that occurs, the officer gets called over and investigates it, and then they canvass the neighborhood, or they find out through the grapevine that somebody had seen something occurring, thought it was suspicious, but was for whatever reason, didn't call the police. We want to promote in this day and age, and I didn't invent this. I'm seeing and hearing this all across the law enforcement all across the country. Is you see something, do something, and that simply means if it looks suspicious to you, even if you have a question about it, give us a call. We're not going to be upset. We're not going to yell at anybody for why did you call us with that. We want to get those calls, and even if it turns out to be nothing, that's fine. I prefer that it's nothing, but give us a call if you see something suspicious, and never be afraid to call 911, especially after hours. We have somebody at the front desk, Terry or Renee Fryer up at the front desk of the police department, usually until either 4 or 5 o'clock each day, from 7 in the morning till 4 or 5 during normal weekdays. After that, what happens is our phones are transferred over to the Jefferson County Sheriff's Department, and they dispatch for us. We are a 24/7 operation with the police department, but as far as dispatch goes, we are just primarily day shift for the city itself, but then when you call, it picks up, and we still have that additional coverage through the rest of the day through the Sheriff's Department. So, and whenever you call 911, it goes directly to the Sheriff's Department, who fields those calls for us. So never be afraid. If you feel that it rises to the level of being an emergency, I've dealt with this for years, where people have told me, they'll call us on the regular PD line, and it's a situation where it should have probably been a 911 call with something serious, but people, I think some people have some reservations about doing that. Maybe it was a bad experience calling on 911 before, possibly maybe got yelled at by dispatch or something. Call 911. If it's an emergency to you, it's an emergency to us. Call 911. If you ever have any issues with that, talk to me about it. But that's there to expedite police response for your protection. So never be afraid to call that if you feel that's an emergency.
I'd like to just add to that too a little bit, is when you do call, you call a non-emergency number and we don't have people in the office, it goes through to the Sheriff's Department and they answer the phone. And we talked to a lot of people like, well, I didn't know what the non-emergency number was, and I didn't want to call 911. The person who answers the phone, it's the same person. The Lake Mills number lights up, they push that and they say, hello, Lake Mills Police. Or the 911 lights up and they push it and they say, Jefferson County 911. It's the same person you're reaching. So it's fine to make that call either way. 911 obviously is the easiest one to remember, and it does not have to be an emergency. If it looks odd, if it looks unusual, do something. And I've told people too, if they just can't give themselves, to push themselves to make that phone call, everybody's got a cell phone these days. They have video and phone capability, picture capability. I take pictures out my window all the time when I see something unusual, or when I drive around town, I see something unusual. I'll take a picture, try to include a license plate number, and I'll follow up on that later to see if there's an issue. But that's part of doing something. If you just don't think you can push yourself to call the police, just do something. Take a picture, take a video, but be alert too. A lot of times if your instincts tell you something isn't right, you're probably right on.
Exactly. We had one heroin overdose so far this year. Knock on wood. I'm consider ourselves lucky. Last year we had 2 by this particular time, and it's, as we all know, we don't do any cover-ups. We're a transparent agency. We share that information so everybody knows what's going on in the community. Nobody died in this particular heroin overdose, but I'd just like everybody to be aware that we are doing everything we can. In fact, we had the chief from Greenfield come to the last Jefferson County Chiefs and Sheriffs Association meeting, and he presented on a new program called CARE. He has in his jurisdiction over there, of course, in Milwaukee County, he has in the vicinity of about 150 heroin overdoses a year, and they have their drug courts and stuff there. And that program seems to work really well for them. So what we did from our Chief and Sheriff's Association here is we wanted him to come and present to us and give us an idea of what he's doing, and we want to in a nutshell, what that program is it looks for people that overdose or are addicted to heroin and they want to get help. It's difficult to help anybody, no different than if you have an alcoholic or other types of vices, that unless somebody wants to get help, it's difficult to force them to get help. But there are people out there that are addicted to heroin and they want help. And so that's what that program is all about, is getting those people help, using our human services resources and other resources, and getting those people help that want help, which then, of course, we all benefit. That person benefits, their family benefits, but then also our community benefits, because then it cuts down on the crime that's being occurred by people that are addicted as they're breaking into cars and buildings and burglaries and so on and so forth. So we do have a committee, a subcommittee from the Chief and Sheriff's Association committee that's basically looking at doing a heroin standard of practice review, I guess, on how we're doing things. Enforcement is still a big part of it as well for those that don't necessarily want to get help. It's a big element of this, and where we can get people into the system and have court-ordered help for individuals, and hopefully eventually we can cut down on the crime and get people more help. So we're trying to be as progressive as we can on this. I would not say that we have a major heroin epidemic in Jefferson County, but it is everywhere in the U.S. and it's definitely a major concern of ours, and we don't want it to get any worse than it is. So, yes, it's worse. Yes. Yeah, we carry that. We trained. The question was, do we have any shot or anything that we can do when somebody does overdose with heroin? And yes, I had all of our officers in Lake Mills are trained and do carry. It's called Narcan. So when we go to an overdose, in fact, Officer Messman and I went to one recently. He was ready to administer Narcan. The individual snapped out of it beforehand, and then we got him into the ambulance and got him to where he needed to be for treatment. But we all carry, all the officers out on the street have access to that, and we use it. We've been trained in it. We know how to use it. So, absolutely. Yes, ma'am.
I would just like to mention for the public that will be watching that my professional background is a guidance counselor, and I worked in the schools. And when I worked with the kids, a lot of times the kids would say, well, if I tell somebody, they won't be my friend anymore. And then I would talk to them and say, but would you rather have them be angry at you or dead? And then they think, oh, yeah. And I explained to them that when you report somebody that's your friend, they may be mad at you, they may never speak to you again, but they will be alive. And then you can tell yourself that you made a choice, but it was the right choice. So sometimes you do lose a friendship, but it's more important to keep the person alive, and sometimes that means calling it into the police and getting help. So just food for thought.
Thank you. Thank you. And another way that what we're finding out is that what is contributing to the heroin epidemic, and it's no secret, is the overprescription of opiate-related medicines by medical staff. And so that is something that is being addressed on the state and federal levels, dealing with doctors and medical personnel who do administer drugs. So one thing to kind of keep in mind is that if you do have opiate-related painkillers, something like that, so you threw your back out, or you have some other ailment and your doctor prescribed that stuff to you, or your doctor is going to prescribe that stuff to one of your children or your loved ones who may be experiencing one of those problems. I hear time and time again that there is a lot of overdosing. Maybe that's not the proper term, but there's a lot of additional pills that are being given in comparison to what's really needed to deal with that particular issue. And a lot of times, if somebody takes too many pills, obviously that can contribute to some sort of addiction. But I mean, that's something for you to work out between the doctor and the patient. But keep in mind that if you're issued, no, that's okay. If you're issued something like oxycodone or Vicodin, I mean, these might be some of those medicines that I know when I threw my back out last time, I was given a I can't remember how many, but it was, a handful of these things by the doctor. It's okay to use that stuff. You're prescribed it by the doctor to help you with that pain. But then once you're done with it, what you should be doing is getting rid of that stuff. So that's not around the house. It's not tempting, maybe for some kids going into medicine cabinets and taking this stuff and becoming addicted to these meds or selling them to other people. That's been happening as well. So you're prescribed it by the doctor. Go ahead, once you're done using it, you have extra pills, dispose of it. We have a drug drop box right at the police department. You come bring it over there, and we'll dispose of it properly for you. And let's try and do the best we can, I guess, as a community to do the best we can to keep those dangerous prescriptions out of the hands of potentially vulnerable citizens, kids, and whoever else that might be. Okay?
Just
Yes.
on behalf of the city sewage department, please don't flush them down the toilet because they really mess up the process of, processing the sewage. So take them to the police department and they will dispose of them appropriately. Because a lot of people have done that over the years. And you'll help your own tax dollars if you don't flush them down the toilet.
Right. Okay. Another program that we're looking at doing, and actually we looked at doing this last fall, and we're going to probably pick up with it again this year. I was just confronted by a gentleman that I spoke with over in Brookstone last fall, dealing with some speeding going on in the area. We can't be everywhere all the time, and in this particular circumstance, we were doing speed enforcement details in the area where there was speeding being suggested, but the citizens in that area felt that, well, when they see the police car, that everybody tends to pay attention to the speed, and that's when we're gone that they speed up. So we've tried the speed trailer over there. We've tried putting officers over there doing speed enforcement, but it seems like it's still occurring. So one thing that I recommended is that we look at a citizen speed enforcement partnership, and basically what that consists of, or what it's going to for Brookstone, is there are 4 citizens that were majorly concerned, and understandably so. What we're going to do is get a handheld radar and allow them to set up in their cars and observe traffic speeds, write down the date, the time, the speed, the license plate of people speeding, and get that information to us. And what we'll do is we'll send notices to the public. We're not going to make arrests on those situations, but we will make the people aware that they are speeding in certain neighborhoods and that they were caught by the Citizen Speed Enforcement program, and that they need to watch their speeds and slow down before somebody gets hurt. Especially, we're concerned in a lot of these housing areas just because of little kids and on bikes and on foot and so on and so forth. So that's something that we're going to pick up again this summer, run with. Actually, it'd be the first time, but we were going to do it last fall, but I was just confronted by this gentleman again just recently, and he asked to go ahead and do it this spring. We did active shooter training. We're still big on that with being prepared, not just for the schools, but other I guess, environments where we're now hearing on the news on a daily basis where these sort of incidents are occurring. So what we did was some active shooter training with the officers recently at the high school, but we are also, Officer A. Strike is doing a great job with the program. He works hand in hand with Bill Dandoy from the county. We are moving to training. I know we have trained the library staff already. We've trained some other staff as well in different venues, not just the schools. I mean, we definitely want to stay on top of the schools, but we also want to start moving that out into different environments that that these sort of situations may occur in. So we're moving ahead with that. One thing that we recently did, amongst a lot of other things, is we do have a tactical shield, and we're looking at purchasing more tactical shields. And what a tactical shield is basically it's almost like a bulletproof shield that officers can take with them and use on serious calls where there's great potential that they might get shot at. And so we have a tactical shield now and a RAM. A RAM is just something that allows us to get into a locked door if we need to in a tactical type situation. We recently did some training with the officers on the Pyramid Hotel before that came down. Mr. help me with his name. John Laundrie, who owned that building, was gracious enough to let the police department go over there and actually do some practical training. We trained with the Jefferson County SWAT team on that, so our officers are up and running for those types of situations. Hopefully it doesn't need to be used, but Sergeant Whitty and I did use it on a recent event, and we were kind of happy that we had it. So, law enforcement concerns that we have right now. I already talked about the heroin and what we're doing about that. I think everybody's aware of, we had the Madison Street burglary, where an individual went in and burglarized a residence on Madison Street. It'd be West Madison. Went in and took a ton of stuff, but to include over 20 firearms. And the reason he stole them, the officers working on the case, and Captain Selk and others were involved in that investigation. We ended up locating that person in Madison and made an arrest on it. Got most, if not all the stuff. Well, I think we got most of the firearms back. I think a couple of the firearms are gone. We're not quite sure where they are. Hopefully not in the hands of other drug dealers. But the officer did a great job on that case. We were able to solve it quickly. We got the stuff back, and the arrest that we made, that suspect ended up admitting that the reason he broke in and stole that stuff was to support his heroin problem. So that's just kind of it gives you an idea of how some of these crimes in the community are generated from people trying to support their heroin or other drug habits. We've had a rash of burglaries, business burglaries, that occurred like around Christmas time. I understand that we do have a suspect on that. We're working with another agency on trying to bring that case to an arrest. Car break-ins. We've had quite a few car break-ins starting, I think, last fall, and I can't remember when the last one was, but it's probably just about a month or two ago. We have roughly about 5. It's not just one person. Normally when you're dealing with something like that in a community, it's usually one or a couple individuals going around. You have a rash of car break-ins, they take stuff, and then they move on or they get caught. In this particular circumstance, we actually have, we believe, 5 separate entities involved in these car break-ins. And we have to remind ourselves that we live between, and it's not necessarily locals that we're dealing with here, but we have to remind ourselves, I guess, as citizens, that we're living between on Highway 94, right between the 2 biggest cities in the state. And so with the break-ins, I know we have made 2 arrests. There was a car that was broken into at downtown, where I can't think of the building, but it's down, I think it was next to State Farm. But Officer Cedarwell? What's that? Yeah. So we ended up making an arrest on that when a purse was stolen out of the car. And then we ended up making an arrest. I know there was another one that we had made arrest on. I know there's some of these that are still, we're investigating. We do have suspects, and we're just trying to get it nailed down. I guess the biggest things people can do, we're aware of it. We're keeping our eyes peeled. I mean, we even went as far as over at the St. Paul's was a break-in, car break-in. And broad daylight, right at the school, we believe these people were out of the area. From out of the area, they hit I believe it was a car up on the north side of town, then they went over and hit a car over at the school parking lot of St. Paul's. And we have to be aware that these sort of things, number one, they don't occur just in the shadows of nightness, darkness. They happen all the time right now. And depending upon what their motive is for doing these, if it's drugs, if it's heroin, people become very desperate, and they really don't care. They don't think about the consequence. They just think about going in and getting what they can to support their habit. So, yes, ma'am.
Are the cars that they break into locked?
And we're getting there. One of the things that the citizens can do to help us is, number one, lock your cars. If they're locked, they may still break in the windows, but when they're breaking in the windows, it's because they see something in there they want. So locking your cars is instrumental, but even more instrumental than that is don't leave valuables out in plain sight. I can't enforce that enough. Do not, especially purses. We've had several purses taken, and we find out that the purses are sitting on the seats where they're visible, or they may be laying on the floor where somebody may think, well, they'll walk right by, they won't even see it, nobody cares, nobody's going to look. This sort of stuff doesn't happen here. It does happen here, and we're seeing it. This is proof of it. Take your purse with you, take your valuables, and lock them in the trunk where they're out of sight. Just throwing a blanket over them doesn't necessarily cover, doesn't necessarily prevent the problem, because these people know they see something with a blanket, something bulky underneath a blanket, they know that there's some valuables in there. What they tend to do is they're opportunists. They look, they want to move quickly, they look, they see something that they want, they'll either open the door, they'll break the window, grab what they want, and go, and get out of there quickly. So don't give them that opportunity. Take your stuff with you, hide your valuables so they don't see them. Truck route violations, I know that's been kind of that's an occurring thing. I am going to have the State Patrol come out again this spring. That's on my list of things to do, is to give them a call, and we're going to go ahead and just run random truck checks through the area again. That seems to help with keeping people that are coming through here with commercial vehicles, trucks. It makes sure that when they're coming through here that everything is valid on their trucks. And I think I've talked about this before, where we've had quite a few trucks that were coming through here to avoid getting stopped by State Patrol up on 94 and on Highway 26. So it's more convenient to cut through Highway 89 to get to their destination, because they feel that the Lake Mills police are probably not going to stop them. Well, when we pull in the State Patrol and they start stopping them, and we're finding that a lot of them don't have brakes. I know State Patrol's made arrests for people that have been drinking, people that aren't licensed, all sorts of stuff. So we're trying to send that message that we have no problem with truckers coming through here. We know that they're just doing a job, and we have a lot of them. The majority of them are coming through and doing things right. But on the other hand, and it came right from a retired trucker, that there are people that are going to try and circumvent the laws, and we don't want those people on our streets. Somebody's going to get killed, or they're going to damage our street by being overweight and so on and so forth. So we're going to stay on top of that. Some of the areas that we're getting calls about now is that we have trucks coming up on Harvey and then cutting through on Brookstone, trying to make it over to the industrial park. So officers are aware of that. We're making the stops, and we're at that point where we're just going to start writing citations. Everything is marked. Truck drivers know what the laws are, and they need to abide by them in our communities. Mulberry continues to be a concern, as well as Washington Street. So we're looking for it. What I guess I ask of the community is, if you see that in your neighborhood, and understand that if somebody's coming through with a truck, with a commercial vehicle, if they're going to a destination maybe on your street, say like Willowbrook is a good example of Mulberry, they're going there to do business and they have to go off the truck route, that's allowable, that's acceptable. But now if they're cutting through Mulberry because they don't want to have to go all the way around Tyranina to Owen Street or whatever to come back around, that's unacceptable, and it's posted. So if you see the name of the truck, the semi company or whatever that's coming through, and you believe it's in violation, give us a call with the name of that company. We found that's been pretty successful so far, where we've been calling the companies and make them aware what's going on, so that they can talk to their drivers and make sure that they're following the law. Scams, we do have scams, and we're always going to have scams out there. Recently I did the police pointer episode, I guess, on the IRS tax scam, so that's out there. Feel free to go ahead and take a look at that. We had a call just the other day from a citizen who received a letter in the mail. It's on our Facebook. There's another scam that's out there where they have identified themselves as mailing. They're looking for money, donations on behalf of the Lake Mills Police Department for families of fallen police officers. And it had an address, I guess, to send the money to down in Florida. Unfortunately, we weren't able to get all the information before the letter was destroyed, but if it's, if it looks, it sounds, feels like a scam, it's probably a scam. So give us a call with it. We appreciated that call from that citizen. We were able to get that information out. So beware of those. Buyer beware. We're going to be putting the in-street pedestrian crossing signs. Should be going back up. I think we might be done with the snow. I don't know. We may have another couple weeks of it, but those are going to go back up into the street again. And I know there's a lot of citizens that do like those out there. It gets people just thinking as they're coming through, especially on Highway 89, to watch out for pedestrians when they're crossing. So we're going to get those back up and out there. Just a few more things here. National Night Out. We decided that we were going to move the date of National Night Out to, it was June 21st, which is when we have the Town and Country Days going on here in town. It's a busy week. But we decided that it would be a good time to go ahead and run our National Night Out. on that particular date, and we'll put more information out about it, probably in the newspaper and our Facebook and stuff like that as we gear up for it. Just because everybody else holds National Night Out on a specific date in August, where it's everybody is, we're trying to send resources over to, say, Watertown or Jefferson or whatever, and they're trying to do the same. We just think we'll have a better turnout of some of the fire, EMS, police resources that are working to help keep this community safe on a regular basis. We'll get more of those people from outlying agencies to be able to come in if we do it at different times. So we'll keep everybody posted on that. One other thing I just wanted to make everybody aware of is the Jefferson County Chiefs and Sheriffs Association Law Enforcement Memorial Ceremony. This year is going to be on May 19th at 11:30 a.m. and we hold that right on the lawn of the Jefferson County Courthouse. So we'd appreciate as many people that are interested to please show up. This year we actually have Lieutenant Brian Murphy coming to present, and Brian is retired from Oak Creek, and he was involved in everybody probably remembers the Sikh temple shooting down in Oak Creek. He was one of the commanding officers that arrived on scene. He was shot, I believe it was in excess of 15 times, 15 or more times, survived it because there was bulletproof vests in some of the areas that he got shot. And he dealt with the horror of that incident firsthand from a law enforcement standpoint. So he is going to be our guest speaker this year for that. So if if you were able to come down and listen to him speak, that would be wonderful. That's all I have, just kind of in a nutshell. So what I'd like to do is, first off, ask if anybody has any questions about anything that I discussed. No? Everybody's probably like, just shut up already. I'd like to just kind of do a little, what we call like a round table, and just see if we have any officers that would like to add anything. Officer Cedarwall. Captain Silt.
I'd just like to point out we have a celebrity in the room that we didn't introduce early on, and he kind of likes to fly under the radar, but we do have our own Batman in the room. And he's been quiet.
I've seen that.
So I'd just like to thank him for coming, and thank the citizens of Lake Mills. I mean, we work in a wonderful community. I just got a fantastic email from one of the citizens who had read the Alert Sense letter and had contacted me, and not only was she happy with the letter that she received and knowing that we had those safety things in place, but also just to compliment the officers of our department for their professionalism and thank them for their service to the community and what they do. And that's the sort of stuff that really kind of makes our day, because we don't, when we go to a complaint, it's usually not a happy situation, and people usually aren't happy to see us. And that's the kind of stuff that kind of makes it worthwhile, and it's well deserved for every member of this agency here, because they do a great job. They all care deeply about providing good service to their citizens. I want to thank all of them for the job well done, and also thank the community for the support and making us, we have a true partnership here, and very proud of that, and want to maintain that with the community. So thank you.
Sergeant Whitty. Oh.
I don't know how to follow that up.
That was good. That was awesome. All right, Officer Messman.
I'll just throw out there real quick. I'm going to do the police pointer or whatever on the public access, but the school's opens. We're working hard on that. The chief, I know, has talked about before and stuff. And the crossing guards are out there doing a great job, but it's got to come down to the driver. You've got to start slowing down. I mean, if you slow down, and I tell people, everybody behind you has to slow down. But it's all about the kids. And kids, I mean, getting closer to summer, everyone's out and about not paying attention. So when you tiptoe through those magic hours, morning and night, just like I said, tiptoe through there, slow down. And we'll talk about it.
Good, thank you. Officer Fish. Got nothing. Officer Wallace.
Yeah.
Okay. Officer Raystrike. Uh-oh. Get coming. No, it's good.
Thank you all for coming. I prepared about 45 minutes. We just have, in the schools, we have air coming to an end, the 10-week air program for the fifth graders
Good. Good. Thanks, Troy. Officer Johnson. I appreciate you being here. Officer Johnson worked a night shift last night. She's been working on a pretty significant case that we're not going to discuss at this particular point. So, but thanks for staying awake. I appreciate it. And Mrs. Terry Hines, anything for us? Okay. All right. If there, yes, ma'am.
For those of you that are doing the monthly program thing, maybe a good topic would be crosswalks. And one thing that the chief explained to me, which I didn't know, that pedestrians have the right of way everywhere, pretty much. I mean, if they're walking into the street.
Well, if they're walking, if they're not in the crosswalk, they don't. Okay, because we.
But it doesn't mean you should run them over.
No, don't. Yeah, please don't. Please don't run them over. We do not have an ordinance here for jaywalking when people are just crossing, say, mid-block, where it's kind of do that at your own risk. And of course, if a citizen does walk in, say, mid-block into traffic, they can actually be charged with obstructing traffic if they get in the way of traffic. The best place to cross is at the crosswalks. But what people kind of the painted crosswalks are there basically just to highlight and highlight that portion of the roadway. But please keep in mind that by state statute, any public intersection, whether where you have a sidewalk coming up to that intersection, it does not require that there's lines painted on the road from one side to the other to be a crosswalk. It's a crosswalk even if those lines aren't painted there. If you do have a public sidewalk coming up to an intersection across a portion of the intersection to another crosswalk. So please watch that. I get a lot of complaints about that, and we're doing the best we can on it. We do every once in a while we do. I have two officers that have done a great job in running some details on it, and we're going to probably continue to do that just to keep people aware. Last thing we want to see is a citizen or especially a child get hit out there as they're trying to cross the street. Thank you.
And I live on Mulberry Street, and we have several crosswalks. Some at the corner, there's one at Willowbrook to help them get to the parking lot across the street. So, I mean, I think the people in town need to understand, because I didn't understand perfectly, that if there's a crosswalk there, people start to walk into it, you need to stop even though there's no stop sign. Let them go across.
That's correct.
At any corner and any crosswalk.
Right.
Even though it's the middle of a block, like at Willowbrook, you need to let the people get across the road.
Exactly. And Willowbrook is one of those, if it's painted, if it's mid-block and it's painted, that constitutes a crosswalk the same as if it were at an intersection. I guess when I meant people just crossing mid-block, we see that downtown a lot. That's allowed here at the citizen's discretion. But if there's not a crosswalk painted mid-block and you're crossing, that's kind of at your own risk. Okay? Yes, ma'am.
I think this last time you talked about how it's really important that people are midstream and a crosswalk to wait till they're already all the way on the other side before you go forward. And the fact that a kid or a teenager is going to run back in. I mean, I noticed the other day that I've been more conscious of doing that, of following that rule. And one of the teenagers went back, and so had I gone forward with their mask. And I've been watching other drivers are not following that rule. So I think it's a good reminder because you never know who might fall down, who might go back for whatever reason, forget something or whatever. You'd be an adult too. So thank you.
Thanks for sharing that. Do we have anything else?
Would you mind if I brought something up as far as the last meeting? You mentioned something about doing an investigation about the young man who was found on as far as death. Was there any updates on that? Was there any arrest?
We're still working on that case. We're working with actually the FBI now on that, and Captain Selk is lead investigator on that. Is there anything you'd like to share at this point? Not to put you on the spot, but
We do have a person of interest, and that hasn't changed basically from day one. We are going to be spending a little bit more time with the FBI, working out some details that I just can't get into, but it is not is not at a dead end. And I work on it personally, probably a couple hours a week, at a minimum. So it's definitely not done, and I do stay in contact with decedent's mother. She's well aware of what we're doing. She supports how we're doing it, and is thankful for the way we're handling it. We haven't put it on the back burner or anything. So, but the fine details of the case just cannot be discussed.
Any other questions? Okay. If not, thanks again for coming. Refill your coffee cup. Have a nice day. And remember, we have an open door policy. Come on down, visit us. If you have any questions or concerns, please give us a call. Let us know. We're here to help you deal with those situations, and we need your input. We need your help so that we can help you stay safe in this community. So, thanks for coming.